Welcome to Lit Happens Too, where we discuss literature and stuff that will make you sound smart when you talk about books, movies, and other geeky things. This is episode 2, Symbolism and Motif. Before we start talking about how to find symbols and motifs and talk about what these things mean and how they make watching movies and reading books better, or how we can use them when we talk about books or movies to make us sound smart, we kind of need to make sure everyone knows what symbols and motifs are. A lot of people, or at least most people that you ask who aren't as smart as you're about to be, think that symbolism and motif are the same thing. They're not. But they're not. I'm telling you, it's not a thing. They're not. They are, however, kind of like conjoined twins. They're closely related and sometimes get confused for one another, but they have differences. Symbolism is when a color, shape, or object is used to represent something bigger than itself, or an abstract idea, something that we can't see or touch, like love, evil, justice, or greed. Symbolism is used to provide meaning for the audience that goes beyond, to infinity and beyond, what the text actually says. A motif is only a little different from symbolism. Motif is a recurring object, like a symbol, a concept, structure, or representation of two contrasting elements, such as good and evil in a story. The similarity is that a motif could include a symbol that repeats. Repeats. The important thing here is that the repetition of the object, concept, or element. Motif usually goes deeper than symbolism does and runs longer, which can, but not always, mean that it is more important to your understanding of the deeper meaning, aka the theme of the story. For example, in The Big Bang Theory, Sheldon's name is Sheldon. Is a symbol for his character. I mean, think about it. Sheldon is probably the most socially awkward character in the entire show, with the exception of Raj when he gets around women. Sheldon has a difficult time adjusting to change and doesn't like to venture out into new social settings, kind of like a turtle hiding in its shell. Mind blown completely. Seriously, he has a schedule for everything. Daily menus, what's he going to eat for breakfast, what's he going to eat for lunch, the day he goes to the Cheesecake Factory, days he'll eat Chinese. He even has a schedule for his bowel movements. Sheldon is a symbol for how this character has donned a shell to shield himself from change in the chaotic world around him. Sheldon's spot is another symbol of his inability to deal with change. But this symbol appears in almost every single episode of The Big Bang Theory. So that would make it a motif too. So remember, a symbol can be a motif, but only if it repeats. Repeats. Repetition. Repeats. Repetition. Repeats. Motifs are used all the time, and we hardly ever notice them until someone ruins it, just like Mrs. Kales did for me in Big Bang Theory, and points them out to you. Like the motif of good versus evil, which is super obvious in Star Wars, where you have Luke, who's almost always dressed in white, versus Vader, who prefers the slimming nature of black. Okay, and white and black contrasting are often used to symbolize good and evil. Since good versus evil are contrasting elements, they are a motif. You can also see the good versus evil motif with Harry Potter versus Voldemort, SpongeBob versus Plankton, Batman versus the Joker, and yes, even Sheldon versus Will Wheaton. But there are other contrasting elements that can be motifs too. Kind of like smart versus dumb, no offense Penny. But Leonard and Penny form a similar contrasting motif, with Leonard being super smart and Penny being, well, a little ditzy. One of my favorite motifs to notice is when an author or director uses color to signal the audience or to set the tone. Look at any dramatic cop show or horror movie, and you might notice that the overall color of the show or movie is a little dim or even dark compared to something that you might have watched that was a comedy, which uses bright, fun colors. This motif helps to set the serious tone of the drama and the light-hearted tone of the comedy. So, to sum up the lesson, symbols are concrete objects, things we can touch or see or drop, that are used to represent something that we can't see or touch or drop, like an idea or a feeling or something bigger than the symbol itself. But a motif is a repetition of a symbol, color, or two contrasting
elements like good versus evil, smart versus dumb, and rich versus poor. And both symbols and motifs are used by writers to help us to understand the bigger meaning of the story, aka the theme.
So if you liked our video, or it made you feel a little smarter today, go ahead and follow us. Again,
I just
not
pressed
too far.
down.
Yeah, you went all the way to the block.
I just pressed the down button.
And outtake number 1. Careful. This is At least you think it's stuck on SpongeBob. Alright. Dead puppies. That was awesome.